Welcome back everyone to the only reason you subscribe to this channel. Today we're finally gonna be going over the 4 Shell Cups, and now that we're done with the original Nitro tracks, it's all gonna be retro from here. These will all be remakes, or in some cases demakes, of classic tracks that we all know and love. And since there's only 4 games with retro tracks, and the fact that these are all tracks we've already gone over, it's probably not gonna be quite as long as the other videos, but trust me, it's still gonna be a good time. So grab your nearest food-shaped snack, cause it's time to rank every Shell Cup. All 4 of them. Wait. This is the wrong track. Sorry guys, hold on. Hold on, I mixed it up. Okay, I got the right one. Sorry guys. Here's the actual ranking. Oh man, Mario Kart DS. You have some of the best Nitro tracks in the whole series, but these retro tracks, these are just awful. I mean, this Shell Cup is filled with some of the most basic, boring ass tracks in the whole series. I mean, look at this first one. SNES Mario Circuit 1? Really? Actually, this one kind of makes sense. Mario Kart DS was the first game to introduce retro tracks. Super Circuit doesn't count. So naturally, it does make sense to include the very first Mario Kart track as the first remake. Does that make it a good track though? Not really! This is gonna be a theme with the retro tracks in this game. They go in a admittedly pretty neat order in every cup, with a track from the SNES, N64, GBA, and GCN occupied within them, giving each game before DS equal representation with their remakes. But because of this, now half of the retro tracks in this game are from basic flat 2D Mario Karts, and since this is, let me remind you, a DS game, there's hardly any differences or changes at all made to these tracks, except the fact that, oh, they're in 3D now. Wow, really? I couldn't tell! That's why I think the retro tracks suck in this game, cause they're either a demake of a good 3D track, or a remake of a mediocre 2D one. Oh yeah, I still have to talk about Mario Circuit 1, huh? Damn, maybe this video is gonna be long. You know, I gotta say, they really did keep the design of this track faithful to the original SNES version. I mean, just look at how flat these pipes are! They look like cardboard cutouts! Listen, as a beginner track to get you introduced into Mario Kart, it's fine, alright? It does the job well. And there's even some strategy you can take into consideration here, like this huge off-road shortcut you can absolutely shroom through if you're falling behind in a race. But even still, it's just Mario Circuit 1. Another thing to consider about these SNES remakes is that they're all 3 laps long as opposed to 5 laps like in the original, which means that these tracks usually take about, like, 5 seconds to complete. Even if it hardly changes anything about the original course, it being remade in 3D now, plus the fact that it's in a game that, you know, controls well, I'd say it's still an upgrade over the original, if only slightly. Oh yeah, we're doing that now. Now there's gonna be some text that signifies if I think a remake is an upgrade, a downgrade, or just the same as their original forms. I mean, I feel like it's just gonna be kinda obvious which remakes are better or worse, but hey, f it, let's just add another variable, why not? Also, if a new score somehow doesn't line up with the score from the previous version, don't worry about it, alright? I'm just forgetful. Next track! N64 Moo Moo Farms is not that great of a track pick, honestly, but at least it's not the beginner circuit track of its respective game like the other 3 tracks in this cup. I don't get why they did that. It seemed like they had a pretty clear-cut theme going on here. I mean, it's such a simple track that it might as well be a circuit. Listen, I get it. It's the Shell Cup, and we gotta have some easy, beginner-friendly tracks. I know that, but like, this just isn't interesting, man. I mean, I guess we should be thankful that it was remade in this game first, so that it couldn't have a chance to get remade in any other better games. I'm sorry, Mario Kart DS fans. I'm not sorry. There's nothing fun to talk about here. We've just got these weird-looking cows, these poop trees, and these stupid f***ing moles who still haven't contributed anything to society. Oh, great! And unlike the last one, it doesn't even have the excuse of being a 2D track before, so it's literally just the same track with no upgrades whatsoever. How fun. Oh hey, it's that white bread course I had absolutely nothing to say about before. Welcome back! I'm starting to notice a trend here. GBA Peach Circuit is as GBA Peach Circuit does, and what it does is start with the letter P. Man, I don't know. You know, the least they could have done is actually remodel the whole goddamn track to look like it's in 3D now. But no, the background and the giant orange castle are just flat PNGs now. It would have been really cool to see this goofy looking castle be fully modeled, but I guess we just can't have nice things. The track itself it's GBA Peach Circuit. What do you want me to say? I suppose there are a few grass cuts you can make here. Nothing quite as impactful as that one off-road cut from Mario Circuit 1, but there's options. I'm not sure if this was in the original and I just didn't notice it, but I do like how there are actual peach trees on this track. That's at least one thing that signifies it's a peach track. You know, besides the Wish.com castle. Well, I'm guessing they're peach trees. I don't know. With these graphics, they look more like oranges to me. But they wouldn't actually put oranges on the peach track. Right? This is yet another lackluster remake. We'd have to wait until Mario Kart Tour in 2023 to give it an actually good remake. See, that one actually gives depth to the course design and isn't just a flat piece of paper. I don't know why it looks so much like Super Nintendo World though, but you know what? That just makes it better. And for the final track, we have GCN Luigi Circuit, the starter course from Double Dash. Except this one is actually good? That's right, we've got all the classic elements retained here, like everything having eyes on them, the aggressive chain chomp, and Luigi's baller mansion from the good ending of Luigi's Mansion. Wait, was that always there? I genuinely do not remember seeing that in the original. Oh my god, that's awesome. Layout wise, this is pretty basic. It is still a beginner circuit after all. But don't forget that this was the first track where you could directly interact with the racers far behind you, so you could just be in first place and absolutely demolish the guy in last place. For fun! I'd say this track is enhanced by the fact that you can actually gain boosts from drifting now, which makes traversing these long turns a lot more fun. So despite the fact that, yeah, it might look a little worse now, I still think it's the more fun version. Sue me. Even if it is another basic circuit track, it's still one of the better ones they've ever made for this series. There's probably worse choices they could have picked than this one. Oh, we'll get to those worse choices. So that was the DS Shell Cup. Dear God, was that bad. This is probably one of the worst cups in Mario Kart history, which is impressive considering this whole game exists. I get what they were trying to do here by remaking a bunch of beginner courses for the first Retro Cup, but oh my god, none of these courses are interesting at all. Even Luigi's Circuit, which I was complimenting a lot, is still basically just a long figure 8. This is just the absolute bottom of the barrel boring picks they could have chose for this cup. I don't think it could have gotten much worse than this. At least we know it can only go up from here. So, let's go up. Look at that, Mario Kart, we didn't get first place in a ranking. That's how you know the world's gone crazy. The retro tracks in this game are definitely much better choices than in DS, but once again, the upgrades or changes actually made to any of these tracks are still very minimal. Like this track for example, GCN Peach Beach. It's basically just the same track from Double Dash copy and pasted into this game, and I'd argue it looked even better before. But hey, if it means we get to see the giant penis rock again, maybe it's not so bad after all. Do you think Princess Peach actually owns this beach herself, or did they just decide to name it after her? Like honestly, I could see it being either. She's definitely rich enough to afford whole beaches. I mean, Daisy has a whole goddamn cruise ship, and Rosalina has a whole fucking world! Oh yeah, I gotta talk about the track. It's fine, I guess. The cataquacks are just as annoying as ever, and there's still diverging paths to take depending on what you're feeling like. I do have to ask though, who would actually take this path in a normal race? I get that there's an item box here and that could be a bit useful if you're really falling behind, but it's so much slower than just going straight forward that to me it just seems like a bad play. Oh come on man, you have got to be joking kidding me. Out of all the choices from Mario Kart DS you could have picked, we could have had Waluigi Pinball, we could have had Tick-Tock Clock, we could have had Delfino Square, oh wait, we could have had DK Pass, okay maybe that's a good thing. But no, you just had to choose the fucking Chicken McNugget looking track. God, I hate everything. What do you want me to say about Yoshi Fell Off? You just drive in a loop for like a minute on a track that's shaped like my Chicken McNugget. I'm so bored, I even tried to do something that literally nobody else has done before. Oh, that's right. I touched the giant goddamn Yoshi egg that's in the middle of the track. Ooh, Miyamoto, you didn't think it could be done, but I just did it. You know, I'm actually glad this track got a remake in this game, just so it couldn't have a chance to get remade in any future games. However, if it does somehow come back in the next Mario Kart, then I'll have a few choice words for God. Now this, I actually think was a pretty good pick. Ghost Valley 2 is, get this, an actually fun SNES track. Wow, I can't believe it. Anything is possible. SNES tracks are gonna be an inevitability in every game. I mean, of course you have to represent the very first Mario Kart game in some way. So even if you aren't gonna change the layout like at all, the least you could do is actually pick a track that's fun to drive on with the current game's controls. And that's exactly what they've got here. It might not be the most flashy or in-depth track around, especially in this game, but damn it, I think it's fun. I like how these blocks fall down when you crash into them. I love this shortcut. I love the flying boo PNGs everywhere combined with their stock laughter MP3s. It's all great. But you know what's the true best part about this track? Falling off of it when you hit the finish line. Man, that never gets old. And here we have another track that I like. Wow, 2 in a row, guys. This is impressive. N64 Mario Raceway is great. I love the signs they have put up here, like this one that just tells you to go! And this one that just says Yoshi on it. Like, is it just advertising him as a concept, or what? I should put up billboards with only my name on it, just to see what would happen. Did you know that these billboards were actually censored in the North American release of this game? Yeah, really. This is what they're actually supposed to say. I love this giant green hill. It's such an iconic part of the track in my eyes. And I also love how I can just go on an adventure right through it. Okay, never mind. But forget about that. I also love this giant green pipe. It's such an iconic part of the track in my eyes. And I also love how you can just go all the way around it like Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, f you. Yeah, they didn't really mess anything up in this remake. You can still take some insane shortcuts with shrooms if you have any. I'd say this is honestly one of the better Mario circuits out there. Yes, it is a Mario circuit, you guys. Just because it says Raceway instead of circuit doesn't mean anything. Come on, guys, we've been over this already. And that was the Wii Shell Cup. Definitely a lot better than the travesty that was the DS Shell Cup, but still, not really that great. Some relatively good picks aren't gonna save the absolute bomb that is DS Yoshi Falls, but I guess there is still some fun to be had here. Let's hope the next cup doesn't have any goddamn ovals! And in second place, we have Mario Kart 8's Shell Cup. Bet you weren't expecting that. This is definitely the game that most people think of when they think of the very best retro tracks in the series. And for good reason. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Mario Kart 8 kinda looks really good. I mean, it's like the best looking game on the Wii U and the Switch. How is that even possible? And with these new crisp HD graphics, now we can finally get retro track remakes that are like, you know, remakes! All of the retro tracks in this game are so unbelievably enhanced from their original incarnations in the past 7 games. If you're a retro track, this is the game you want to be in. And not the Booster Course Pass. Okay, I'm sorry! But even with these insanely nice visuals, that doesn't stop some of the choices from being a little weird. For example, Moo Moo Meadows. This is an interesting pick for Mario Kart Wii. It probably wouldn't have been my first, or second, or third, or 10th pick, but hey, it's still kind of fun. This is a great example of how this game takes an old track and upgrades it massively on the visuals department. I mean, they literally changed the whole time of day here. Now instead of the typical blue skies we had before, it's taking place in the middle of a gorgeous sunrise. The track itself is mostly unchanged, but there are still some unique additions, like this new glider ramp path over here. Oh, brace yourselves, folks, because you're gonna be hearing that a lot now. This doesn't even really do anything either. It just seems like a pointless addition to add a new mechanic onto an old track, but it's a fun pointless addition, so maybe it's not all that bad. This is a completely harmless track. Sure, it's not the most exciting theme ever, it's literally just a farm with cows, but damn it, it does the concept way better than Moo Moo Farms, I'll tell you that much. And guess what? It even takes place in Ireland too, which is a Interesting. Alright, now this is an upgraded track. GBA Mario Circuit may seem like a boring pick at first glance. I mean, what? We just had a grassy track, now you're giving us another one? But they actually turned this old flat course into one of the most fun tracks in the game. I am serious. Okay, well this game in particular has multiple 5 out of 5, so maybe that's not true, but it's still goddamn fun. I especially love that they changed this one section with what was just an average U-turn in the original into this giant spectacle with the track being held up by these ultra hands. You know, the toy Nintendo used to sell. Moments like these are why Mario Kart 8 remakes are so goddamn good. They can just go all out for no reason. I feel like they definitely had an agenda to add anti-gravity onto as many tracks as they possibly could. So how would they do that on a track that's completely flat? Like that! If only we could have gotten ideas like this from the start. That's not the only good part of this track though, the rest of it is equally as fun. Like this random glider ramp they added that opens up opportunities for even more shortcuts, and this extra path with an item box that can be useful if you're in desperate need of some items. Overall, it's just a great track, man. Never would I have thought that something as simple as GBA Mario Circuit would make for such a great remake, but that's just the beauty of this game, isn't it? Now DS Cheep Cheep Beach on the other hand, no, I'm just kidding. This track is great. This is a good example of an old track really changing because of the new mechanics introduced in the modern games. Now we have the ability to go underwater. I mean, you could kinda already do that in the original, but it's cooler now? Did you know that they actually brought back the cock rock from GCN Peach Beach? There's actually 2 of them now, and they look, they kinda look a little misshapen. And in the remake, they're even hairier now. Okay, I'll stop. The ocean looks so drinkable now with those crisp Wii U graphics. And the fourth section is looking more tropical than ever. They also changed this first section, which was just a simple ramp in the original, into a glider ramp. Oh my god, we get it, you can glide in this game. It might not be the most difficult track out there, but this summer course is anything but cheap. Cheap. Beach. Now N64 Toad's Turnpike on the other hand? This track fucking sucks! Oh god, here we go. Does anyone actually like this track? Who wakes up one day and is like, oh boy, I can't wait to play fucking Toad's Turnpike! The original was bad because it was way too hard. Hell, practically impossible to avoid the cars at certain points. And this remake is bad because it's too fucking easy and boring. Like, this track is literally a figure 8 with cars on it. How is this supposed to be fun at all? They added these anti-gravity sections to the walls here. Who fucking cares? It's not fun to go up here and drive in a straight line just because, whoa, it looks like I'm driving on the walls. Like, yeah, that gets old after doing it for the 50th time. I don't care. There's also this new glider they added on one of the cars that lets you glide over the starting line. Well, never fucking mind. And I got second place. Yeah, I hate my life. This track is just worthless. An absolutely boring addition to an otherwise fantastic selection of retro tracks. I'd even call this a downgrade over the original track because at least over there you have to actually use your brain to think about what you're doing. And the graphics, oh, the graphics don't even save this one, cause guess what? I think they look even better in the original. It had this cool sunset looking gradient in the background that really added to the atmosphere of the track. But here, nope, it's just nighttime. Enjoy! You know, I just realized something. This whole monstrosity can be traced back to one person. Toad! You know what, Toad? This is what I think of your track! Oh my god. Am I a monster? Nah, this track fucking sucks. Well, that sure was an assortment of 4 Mario Kart tracks usually referred to as a cup, wasn't it? I mean, it started off pretty good, I think we can all agree on that. But that last one, yeah, let's not talk about it. I sure hope this last cup doesn't have any stinkers. But before we head on to the #1 spot, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is an amazing online website. Guys, I'm not actually sponsored by Squarespace, alright? Calm down, it's just a joke. I mean, I only have like 7K subscribers. Did you really think I got sponsored for a second there? But maybe if you subscribe today... Yeah, that's right, Mario Kart 7 finally took first place for the first time! And that's no surprise either. Something you're gonna learn about this game in particular is that the retro track selection is like ungodly amounts of fire. Like, they did not need to pick so many banger tracks for this simple 3DS game. It's so much of a banger that they picked like half of these tracks to be in the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Well, isn't that funny? You know what they didn't pick for the DLC though? Yeah, I wonder why. N64 Luigi Racer Raceway is such a bland choice in a game filled with incredible track choices. But I guess they are making up for it not being in the DS Shell Cup, huh? To be fair, they did change it up a little bit. Now you can finally drive onto this outer wall that was previously inaccessible in the original. Honestly, I thought this was supposed to be like where the audience was seated before, but if it was that would be pretty gruesome. I do like this addition because it gives players an extra option when they're racing. Do you want to go on the upper path to collect some coins and even item boxes? Or do you want to stick to the lower path that's just faster? But not just that, they also changed this hot air balloon that used to give you only blue shells before into this brand new box that just gives you exactly the same items as every other box. Wow, that's kinda lame. Yeah, this track doesn't really have a lot going for it, but hey, if you love drifting, then dear God, you need to play this. Next we have GBA Bowser Castle 1. Only one of his castles. It's kinda shocking to see a lava level like this as only the second track in the Shell Cup, but then again, it is Bowser's and he does have a shell, so yeah, fair enough. Bowser Castle 1 is actually the third Bowser Castle to get remade in a row. After Bowser Castle 2 on DS and Bowser Castle 3 on Wii, wow, how many times can I say Bowser and Castle today? I guess they really felt like they needed to complete the trilogy right away by remaking the first one next, huh? Now all they gotta do is remake the fourth one in the next game. Right, guys? Right? Maybe next time, my sweet prince. This track is pretty simple as you can see, but it's still kind of fun. They added a glider section here. Oh, god damn it. They added a glider section here which opens up after the second lap that at first seems kind of useless, but if you use a mushroom at the right time, it can be used to get to this brand new shortcut. I tried really hard to do it without one, but I just wasn't strong enough. This is exactly how you should go about remaking classic levels, by adding shortcuts using mechanics that would not be possible on older hardware. To me, this is how you pull off a true upgrade. Oh my goodness, you would not believe how happy I am to see you right now. This is one of the 4 insanely good tracks from Mario Kart Wii they decided to remake right away in this game, which is kinda bittersweet because as you know, they weren't able to be remade in Mario Kart 8 instead, and we had to wait for the booster course pass which didn't have the greatest visuals. It's a whole thing. But forget about all that, cause Mushroom Gorge is back in well, I wouldn't say better than ever. These new mushrooms are so much flatter now, they just look like pancakes! Speaking of new mushrooms, they also added this brand new sickly blue mushroom, and when you bounce on it, it functions as a glider ramp. Wow, that's actually kinda cool! You could say it's a bit of an unnecessary addition. I mean, they did remove a bunch of shrooms just to add this one, but I'd say it adds some much needed variety to all the bouncing around. Those weren't the only shrooms they removed though, they also got rid of this one that was previously able to be used for a really cool shortcut. Why they decided to remove this is something I might never truly understand. This track is still just as fun as ever though, and while I still wouldn't call it a better version necessarily, it's not egregious enough for me to call it worse either. Tour Boston Building is another great pick that works excellently in this game. The Boo PNGs are back and crustier than ever, thank God. They added a new glider ramp here, man, eventually that sentence is gonna get old. And it takes you towards a path that leads you to another glider ramp. Alright, calm down, buddy. You know, I don't think I emphasized it enough originally, but for a track called Boston Building, you really don't spend a lot of time in the goddamn building itself. Like what, you're in there for maybe like 20 seconds before you're thrown out to the backyard where you have to travel in diseased looking mud for the rest of the lap? Like what does that part even have to do with the Boston Building franchise? Then again, I don't remember seeing walking trees in those games either, so maybe they're just taking a few liberties here. Oh well, it's still a cool reference at the end of the day. And a pretty fun racetrack too. This cup might not be the best or most exciting selection of tracks ever made, but at least there's nothing truly rotten here. At worst, it can just feel a bit bland. And being a bit bland makes it the best Shell Cup. What do you know? So yeah, that was ranking every Shell Cup, and holy crap, this was a lot longer than I was expecting. There's still plenty to talk about with these retro tracks, even if most of them have hardly any changes made to them. Let's be honest though, this episode was absolutely just the battle of mid. The Banana Cups will be up next, and now that we're gonna be out of the beginner difficulty tracks, who knows what surprises these next few cups are gonna bring. If you really feel like supporting me, consider using my Fortnite creator code. I mean, I gotta shill it somewhere else no one's gonna use it. It's just my name, so it's pretty easy to remember. And with that, I'll see you hopefully very soon.